welcome friend. I have my beautiful friend Kristin here. We are celebrating. And what are we celebrating, Kristin?
That the exhibition went up.
Yay!
And it's on at the moment and it looks really, really good.
Yes. So for those of you that don't know, Kristin and I just did a combined joint exhibition collaborative at a beautiful winery in the Yarra Valley in Australia, and it went really well. It's still on while this video is being recorded, and we thought today we would share a little bit about the highs and the lows and the things we enjoyed, and give you some advice as what we would give to you if you're wanting to do an exhibition, because we've learned a lot.
Yes, we certainly have.
We have learned a huge amount, and hopefully you can learn something about running your own exhibition. So let's go. So, first of all, just so you know, it's been 30 degrees here. Is it okay that I share with everyone that you just had COVID?
Yeah.
Kristin's been crook, and I've had an operation on my face. Oh, it's always hard to know which way to do it. Operate. You know, it was a big build up to the exhibition, so we are pretty weary. And we look at ourselves, you know, on the video here, like, so bear with us. We are here. We just want to share with you how the exhibition went, because we want to celebrate. Clink. Ding. We want to celebrate, but we also want to share with you the things that we would do differently, the things that we enjoyed, and give you some advice as well. And some of you have been following the journey. And by the way, this is non-alcoholic wine. It's very nice. Some of you have been following the journey, and if you haven't, you can go back and look at some of the previous episodes. You'll see some of the preparations that we did early on, and this video is going to have a bit more of the final outcome of this exhibition, which we were really, really pleased with. So we're going to start with, I've got my questions here. Why did we do the exhibition? I thought Kristin can start sharing us while I have a little drink here.
Okay. Well, because we were working together in the gallery, in Heather's gallery, and I had a piece of work in the Yering Station Sculpture Prize, and so Heather and I both thought, whoa, what a beautiful venue. Maybe we should see if they, take people for exhibitions, and sure enough they did.
Yeah.
So we applied, and lo and behold,
we got in.
Yeah. And then we talked about, well, what can we do together? Because Heather's work being paintings and mine being glass. We thought, how can we combine that together and do it for a very big space?
Yeah, and I think we enjoy working together, and I think it was really a bit of fun to work out how we would collaborate and do something different. I think we like a bit of a challenge, which is a bit crazy. I think many creatives like a bit of a challenge and try and work new things out. So it was really lovely. As I remember sitting at the cafe that day, and we were like, how are we going to combine, your work and my work? And we sort of came up with this theme of the water.
Yeah, the water drops.
Because Kristin's primarily likes working with glass and floral, a lot of not all of the time, but with what do you call it? Botanicals.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, well, I do water drops on plants and flowers, so how about I paint a flower? And I don't think it was just my idea. We both really came up with the idea together, and you were like, oh, we could do this. So yeah, so you did beautiful the actual plants, the flowers. We chose the flowers that you knew that you could find and source and loved. Including those beautiful hydrangeas. That's actually my favourite painting of one of mine, the ones that I did.
Yeah, I love that one.
What's your favourite one of the ones you did?
The ginkgo, I think.
Yeah. My favourite one of the combined together is the ginkgo, definitely. That really worked well together. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's sort of why we did it. And I've always wanted to do some really big paintings, have an opportunity to do that. And the gallery I have put two of my paintings up, and that's nearly filled all the walls. So it's good to have a chance to do it in somewhere else. But I think the collaborative part of it was really invigorating and exciting, to work that out. And we'd sort of catch up every month or every couple of weeks and go, how you going? We'll work this out. And so it's good. I really enjoyed that part of it. What's my next question? What did we enjoy about the process?
I loved seeing everything come together, and particularly loved seeing Heather's hand painting, because she'd had that vision in her head for how many years?
Oh, well, yeah, probably a good year and a half, maybe 2 years.
Yeah.
That image. Yeah.
So Heather knew exactly what she wanted to do, and so organised her friend, photographer, to come down from Bright to do a photo shoot with us together, which you can see on another YouTube.
Yeah.
And just that was so much fun doing that photo shoot.
It was. Yeah.
And then Heather took the images from that and made it into the image for the painting.
Yeah.
And then, started painting it and seeing it come together on each post that Heather did on Instagram was just
that was fun.
So exciting to see it and see it, just getting bigger and bigger. And then when she finished the first canvas, it was...
Yeah, because that was your hand.
Exciting.
I did your hand
My
first.
crusty old hand. Yeah, that was very exciting.
It was. It was interesting too, because we were talking about, well, how do I really want to do these paintings? That's why Kristin mentioned it. Like, how can I include that in the exhibition? But then I was like, but I never knew whose hands it would be. I was thinking maybe it was going to be an Indigenous hand and a white fella hand or something. But then I'm like, oh no, it'll be yours and my hand, because it's a combined exhibition, and it worked. So it was perfect.
It was perfect.
So it looked really good to have that in the exhibition, that, we're both, and I've called it Sharing Dreams, which I thought was really nice, because we're sharing our dreams of what we're wanting to do with our art. So yeah, that was really good.
And that whole water theme continued from the water drops on the paintings.
Yeah.
So that was really nice having that.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
That made that all possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So anything else you enjoyed? What other things you enjoyed about?
I enjoyed working with you.
And you.
And I really enjoyed the initial part of each of the camellias and the ginkgos, actually sort of working out how to do them.
Yeah.
And that was, it was really fun.
Yeah.
Doing that. And then it just got it got too big.
We're going to talk about the hard stuff in a minute.
We'll talk about that later, but it just got too hard.
Yeah. Really? It was big. It was big. Yeah. But there was many enjoyable moments. We wanted to sort of talk about that first. Yeah. So, and I think setting up the exhibition, and I'll talk about absolute traumatic time just before the exhibition in a minute, but setting up the exhibition and seeing everything come together, because that's the first time we saw everything come together while we were setting up.
Together.
We'd never seen them together. So we worked in different studios that were like, half an hour away from each other. So first time we saw everything together. So it was super exciting.
It was.
It was a big day, that one.
And getting the things actually up, and rather than just referencing what you'd done on the screen and then seeing it there together, and the colours popped. And
you printed out a massive big version of mine, put it on the wall in your studio, and tried working things out that way, and that's so it was pretty special, really special to do it. My next question is, what would we do differently? And this will include a few of the challenging moments.
Yes. Well, for me, the planning was way off. For my work, usually when I'm doing something, I'll research and then I'll plan things out properly. And I really didn't with this one. I got too carried away.
You were very, very passionate about what you were doing.
I was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really got carried away doing the testing for how to make the ginkgos and then how to make the camellias. And I kind of ran out of time. So in hindsight, I would have designed things properly with all the structures and then got laser cut components done, so the whole thing was going to be really strong. So that was something that was a bit of a downfall for me, because at the end I had all these components and I hadn't kind of resolved how it was all going together, and it was traumatic. It was very traumatic. And the other thing was, because I couldn't install it all on site, and because it's a public, it's a winery basically, and people are there wine tasting, it had to pretty much be ready to put up. And other installation things, I've sat there for several days wiring up in situ, and couldn't do that with this. So that meant everything had to sort of be put together and transported, and
that was an artwork in itself, people. The way her and her husband, totally, we've got to call out John, was incredible. Her husband even took time off work to help. But the way they transported everything was incredible. It was incredible. We had to. It was like so many layers of things.
Yeah, there was. Because each thing had 3 layers, and it had, my husband John had designed a bracket that went into the picture rail at the top, and then from that, the bracket had the sections of rod that went in it, and then the fishing line was tied onto that, and then a corresponding one down the bottom. So each of those sections, all those layers, had to be all separated, and it was a lot of work.
Unbelievable. She had there was 90 of it. Just one of the pieces. She had like nearly 90 pieces, and they were all numbered and all perfect, like worked out, like incredible amount of work. I think you crammed 2 years of work into 1 year, really.
Yeah.
So let's celebrate that, okay?
I think so.
Yeah, everyone watching this will be like, oh my goodness, she's incredible to have actually achieved what you did in the time. Really amazing.
Thank you.
Because, it's incredible. So,
But
so
I was saying to Heather before how much I admired the way that Heather had worked and had allocated a certain amount of time for each painting, and she's stuck to that timeline, and she even managed to go to New Zealand in between. Here's me tearing my hair out, and
I feel guilty. I'm just going away.
So organised, and I'm not.
But I was saying to that, I know, I just have paint and a canvas. I don't have to experiment. I know how long it takes me to do something now. Like after so many years of painting, I know for a certain size, it's going to take me this long, as long as I keep painting. So I could really easily plan it out. The reality is, I know people realise this, but I mean, yes, I can paint things really well and reasonably quickly, but every painting I paint, I doubt that I'm going to get it done in the time that I know that I can get it done in, if that makes sense. And I'm like, it's okay, you're going to make it. I'm like, but am I? And I still have doubts the whole way, but I know it's a weird sort of thing. I'm like, if people sort of think, oh, Heather just flies through and she knows she's super confident about it. I'm not. At the beginning of every painting, the beginning of this painting, any painting, it's always a question like, am I going to make it through? Am I going to give up halfway? Am I like, I don't know, because it takes time. It takes like at least 2 months to do one of my paintings. So, whereas it's so different for you because you're experimenting and there's so many unknowns. And glass artists, you're insane. You're just in a beautiful way.
It's true.
Because things break and you're like, okay, I'm just going to keep going. I'm like, I'd be crying. I'd be a mess on the floor.
But that was also one of the main things that came out of this for me was, if I'm doing an exhibition, do something that I know that is quantifiable and I can actually make it. I don't need to do like months of testing to get something that I then have to rush to finish.
Yeah. You learnt so many different techniques in this particular year, really, didn't you? So, and that's what we want to talk about now a little bit is like, what does it mean now going forward? And we were talking again before we started recording, like we worked out what we don't want to do.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, we'll talk about that in a minute, but just on that for you that's watching, you know, this is not to stop you from doing exhibition. We're so glad we did it, but there are certain things we would not do again, and we'll share a bit more about that at the end too. But, so do you want to share about like what you would do different, what you wouldn't do, like what you've learned or what you want to do now?
Yeah, what I've learned is that, I have a lot of limitations as to what I can do. And in order to go and do things like the cast flowers, that's a whole different level of work, and doing cast work's completely different to the work I usually do. And
So you haven't done a lot of the cast work before, man, and you went straight. Wow, you did. Wow, no wonder it's been a big year. Yeah. Sorry, keep
but
going.
I also realise if I want to do that, I need to go and really get some classes in that, or watch some videos. But I really kind of, it was that whole not knowing what I was doing so much that took so much time.
Yeah.
And that was quite demoralising.
I don't think you're alone in glass artists, though. You think of all your friends that are glass artists. I've got a few glass artist friends, and you do things that are absolutely crazy, you know, like to the limit. I think it's something about you. I think it's a lovely quality is what I'm saying.
Oh.
Yeah, to, you know, that you're willing to take risks and take the time, and, you know, as I'd be like, oh, and I want to know that it's going to finish at this time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's another whole, wow, amazing.
Yeah, that's where I've got to, though, through this, is realising that kind of work is just, it's too hard for me to do, or to do by myself, or if I am going to do work like that, I need to really work with an engineer or a product designer or someone to work out a structure for me.
Yeah.
And then I just do the components.
Yeah.
Which is kind of how I have done things in the past. But also just wanting to have a nice quiet year this year, and doing things that I really know how to do.
Yes.
And that are kind of the work that, I guess, without all the experimentation and going back a bit to graphic design and combining those two.
The things. So I think,
I know.
in the words I think you used
How
before,
to do.
you know what you want to do now, or you've got much more clear idea after having done this year. You've got a clearer picture, which I think is important for others to know too. I think without taking risks and moving forward and doing this exhibition, I think for me too, I think I've learnt, I'm still working it out a little bit because I still wanted, I'm just painting, but I want to go a bit slower this year. That's what I've learned. That it was a big year, even though I did plan it out. There was always something I had to get done. And this year for me is, I'm not putting pressure on myself to have a deadline. I'm just not. I might do some little things that it doesn't matter if I don't quite get there. But no deadlines this year in terms of my painting, put it that way. I've got some online courses I'm working on. But again, that's all my deadlines and it's not pressured. So so doing things differently, but I think in that, you know, encouraging you that's watching, if you're an artist. By the way, if I keep pushing my glasses out, it's because it's so hot.
It's hot.
They keep sliding down. I'm like, what the heck here? Anyway, so I'd mention that. I'm like, I can't remember what I was talking about. What was I talking about? Yeah, so I had to, anyway, we had to stop for a minute because I couldn't remember what I was talking about. So no deadlines this year. As little as possible. So that's what I've learnt and what I want to do differently this year. So one of the other things that I would do differently, it caused me so much stress, and that was when I was driving to the exhibition. I hired a van. And the night before, it was raining, and I got a friend, you know, we put all the canvases in, and we thought we'd tied it down pretty well. They were on a bit of an angle, but they looked really pretty secure. There was like, I don't know how many really big paintings, like 6 big paintings, and a number of other little smaller ones. And off I go in the morning, all excited. I go around the roundabout, and then kabang! Oh my goodness. I can't even tell you the feeling. I just went, oh no, they're gonna have a hole through the whole 6 or 7 of them. I didn't know what was, like as they'd fallen over. I thought, what was there? And I'm driving. I'm going, and I stopped.
A year's work.
And I'm like, I can't do anything about it now. I can't lift with them. They're too heavy to lift. And I'm like, so I'm driving. And I'm thinking, okay, well, I'll get the masking tape out and I'll patch them up. But I was
Bit of duct tape
on the back, because I was just thinking they might have got, what is it, like pierced right through, skewered right through the middle. I didn't know if there was anything sharp that it was sitting on the bottom of the van or anything. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I was just calculating. I'm like, well, maybe one of them will be okay. So, well, that's good. One will be okay. So I'm driving. I'm crying. I'm like, ugh. And I pull up, and Kristen's all happy. They've got all this stuff out, and she's sort of like, yeah, okay. And I just hugged her. I started crying, and I'm like, I don't want to look. And so we opened it up, and it was fine.
And it was fine.
I really couldn't believe it.
I just felt Heather's pain so much.
Yeah, it was. I haven't felt like that for a long, long, long time. It was so stressful. Just like a year's work. It could have just been totally.
Yeah, if there was something sharp there, it would have just
totally sliced through everything, and that would have been it. But anyway, I would have had a story to tell. It would have been interesting. Anyway, so my advice is to make sure you tie things down and know what you're doing a bit better than I did. I wished I had because I had them standing up. I do wish I had sort of laid them flatter, and there was absolutely no way they could have tipped over or put something, a whole heap of bubble wrap, like massive amounts, so there was no movement at all. So please do that if you're going to be doing an exhibition. Make sure you transport things so they don't break.
Yeah. And leave lots of time for the packaging.
Leave lots of time for the packaging. Exactly. So, advice to other people wanting to do an exhibition. So, look, put some comments below. We're happy to respond later if you have some glasses. To questions about running an exhibition. I mean, many of you won't be wanting to do a collaborative exhibition. We want to encourage you to do that. I think it's not everyone's going to want to do it, but have a go at it. It's a bit of fun. You want to do it with someone that you really trust, and you can, you're not going to end up with a fist fight with. And we knew we got them pretty well. But if most of you won't be doing collaborative, you'll be doing just a single exhibition. But maybe we'll just chat about some of the advice we would give you for running an exhibition. Both of us have run a few exhibitions over the years. This one's taught us a lot of things, like we said before, things that we wouldn't do again. But what sort of things would you give advice for others? Because your work is very 3D often, so there'll be people here that aren't just painters, I suppose, watching this.
Planning. Heather and I were talking before about give yourself maybe a month, at least 2 weeks before you're supposed to finish, or before the install date.
Yeah.
And have that as your kind of deadline, but then you've got a couple more weeks up your sleeve.
Yeah.
Also talking to the curator and coordinating with the curator so that the curator knows what you have got planned. And like with my installation pieces, it was a challenge because it's a heritage listed building, so I couldn't actually put any anchors or anything into the ceiling to hang the things. So therefore my poor long suffering husband came up
he's so good
came up with this tracking system, which
he's an engineer, by the way. He's amazing.
Yeah. So that ended up being an absolutely brilliant way to do it. But there's always issues like that, just how things are going to be displayed. And even like with, I had some frames that were made, and then I had problems because the hooks that were on them were too low down. So the pieces were hanging very strangely. So it's things like that. I hadn't tried that out at home before I took it to the gallery.
Yeah.
So it's, hang your pieces first.
Yeah.
And make sure that all the D-rings and things are hanging correctly.
Yeah.
Also, what else? Photography is really important.
We're still in the middle of that.
We've still got to do all that.
It's getting close. I think it's 2.5 weeks or something before it shuts, and we need to get a photographer to. If anyone out there wants to take photos of our exhibition, let us know. Plan that ahead.
Yeah, definitely, because at the end of the day, that's all you've got left from the show.
Especially if it's collaborative.
Yeah, that's right. Or if, your pieces all sell, then that's the only record you've got. Also, if it's in a venue, like a really interesting venue like Gehring is, you can't get those shots again, and certainly not hanging those things up again. So
No, not like that. I mean, it was like made specifically for that venue. So And just by the way, there is a download that you can go to if you want to document your work, and that was we're talking about photography, and there's a link below to go to that. So it's paintingwithheather.com /document, and it's Kristin. You actually put me onto one of the options, which was Artwork Archive. It is a paid site, but there's a few other free ideas that are in this document below. But the Artwork Archive is brilliant because I could just go in there, just work. Everything's all written down already, and I didn't have to rewrite anything. So because that's one of the things that I would encourage people to do early on, because we kept saying to ourselves, we need to meet, so we know our prices and we know all the text that we want on the labels. But we left it till the last minute, because we do, and
Yes, we do.
And it was literally the night. Actually, I was getting my operation, wasn't I?
Yeah,
and
that's
we're
right.
texting.
Yeah,
it was like
that's right.
I don't know, 3-4 days before we were exhibiting, and the curator's like, you've got today, and that was yesterday. And we're like, change the price to this, and
and then it all went quiet. So I realised Heather had gone in.
Figure I must be under the knife at that point. I was like, this is my last chance before I go under.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
That was funny.
That was funny.
So make sure that you think about that early on. Just think about your names and your prices, and really that sort of stuff's really important. So I suppose one of the questions would be like, when can I do an exhibition? How many pieces can I have? Like what qualifies me to have an exhibition? And I suppose anything goes in some ways, and it's probably different for 3D work because it's bigger and it's more interesting in some ways than a flat canvas. But one of the curators that I got to know, a really well-known curator in Tasmania, said to me, she just said a ballpark 8 pieces is really good to have for an exhibition. I thought that's really nice to have a number.
Okay. Yeah.
So I've always sort of said 8 pieces, and also having them sort of working together, talking together, so they actually make sense together. So that's just to do with painting, but it's probably different for you, because sometimes you have, I probably have too. Sometimes you've had art pieces in exhibitions where there's lots of different forms of art as well. So if you're wanting to do an exhibition, just ask around, different people, what they've done. Other people, look online, but go to your local galleries and ask them if they do exhibitions. Some people even do exhibitions in their homes and promote it to their friends. That's a bit of fun. I've seen some people who clear out their whole lounge room and kitchen and whatever, and
they have an open house sort of thing.
Or get part of, here in Australia we have what you call open studios, which is a really good way, so you can sort of apply to that and see if you can get in, and that means people will come to your home over a certain weekend and get promoted. So we really encourage you to have a go at it, because you learn a lot.
Certainly do.
Yeah, a huge amount. And I teach painting, and I've got a student exhibition coming this year, and the reason for that is to help the students learn how to put the D-rings on and where to put them and how to write all these things up, and you learn a lot when you do an exhibition. So it's good.
And even doing an artist statement as well.
Oh, an artist statement, yes.
Which really clarifies, you might have an idea of where your work's going and what it's all about, but until you have to actually sit down and write a 50-word one or a 100-word or 250-word one, That really consolidates like nothing else.
Yeah.
What your work's about.
Yeah. Yeah, and might I say, I'm a little bit, I have my own opinion about this, so forgive me, but I don't go in many other exhibitions, but Kristin does a lot more than I do, and she might want to talk to that in a minute, but I find it really difficult when you put a piece in and then you don't get in. Like you get in, but then you don't get even recognised, or it might be, I got into a fairly good exhibition, but it was in the, the building that was right down past the lake, past the, like the last, no one even saw it, even though I got in. And you sort of feel, and then you don't sell. And, we haven't sold it. Well, I've sold some little pieces, but not as significant pieces. So, there's a lot of, you can invest a lot of yourself into an exhibition sometimes. So I think when you're going into an exhibition, you've got to hold it loosely and just see it as an experience in itself and not hold, hard and fast that you're going to sell everything. Some people do, like you're really good at promoting and you end up landing in a really good place where the right people are there. Sometimes it's just by chance that happens. But yeah, just encourage you to be thinking about how you can not invest too much when you're doing an exhibition. I think we all need to do it because we need to get our art out there and feel confident about it, but not sort of hang your hat on it like this is going to be the best thing in the world. I'm going to sell everything, because often that's the first step, or it's like a stepping stone to something else, like it is for us for this piece. I think it's a stepping stone for us to go, for me, I've done my big pieces and I've loved doing that, and you've learnt a lot about what you enjoy doing and where your direction is now, which is a really positive thing.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have got to that point
if
I hadn't gone through the torture of the fishing
the
line.
torture of the fish. I was going to say to you, what happens to you when I say fishing line? She starts jittering.
I do. And John had always said, because I'd always said, I'm not doing any more fishing line, because I just kept torturing myself with it over all the past few years. And this is totally done. This is it.
It's the end of the line for the fishing line.
See what you did there?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. That was actually deliberate.
You meant that. That was
good. I did mean it.
That was very good. That was good.
Oh man.
I was going to say, it's really hard when you're starting off as an artist. It's like when you are wanting to get a job for the first time, and people say, but have you got experience?
Yeah.
It's like, well, how do you get experience if no one will give you any experience? And it's the same starting off as an artist, and it is really hard.
Sorry.
And I remember that when I first started out, and it's like, well, how do I get into exhibitions? I haven't got a CV.
Yeah.
And
you haven't got any record of any other exhibitions you've been in. Yeah.
So just start small. Start with council. Things are really good too. Quite often councils will have sort of open calls, and a lot of the galleries have open calls as well. Or there'll be things on themes.
Different themes,
look around for different societies that you're interested in as well, like wilderness societies if you're a wildlife painter, or there's lots of different avenues of things that you may not think of.
And I'll rack your brain, because Kristin's much more into exhibitions than I am. So we'll put some links below to some exhibitions that are in Australia around at the moment, or coming up maybe for those people that are interested.
Yeah.
And just there is some websites that actually have all of the exhibitions, even worldwide, I think. So we'll find some links and put them below.
And there's, I wish I knew how many letters I've had that start with, we've had an unprecedented number of entries this year, blah, blah, blah.
Unfortunately. I've had them too.
I would have had over 100 of those in 20 years.
Yeah.
There's one publication, a glass publication, I've tried now for 9 years to get into.
You're going to make
paying,
it. You're going to
paying US dollars to enter this thing as well every year.
Still not
but
in.
I'll
it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Maybe this year.
I didn't enter it this year.
Okay, you didn't enter it. You were too busy.
Yeah. But that's one of my goals in life.
Yeah. Good. It's good to have some goals.
But yeah, and then something will happen and we'll get into something.
Yep.
But as Heather was saying, don't put the emphasis on making the work.
Yeah. Enjoying it.
And
the
enjoying it.
process.
And then if something comes along, you can enter the work in.
Yeah.
Or, there could be a specific piece that you've really wanted to make for a particular prize. Prizes are hard.
They really are hard.
They're really hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're
And
really, really hard.
I think, I mean, again, this is my own experience, but, I find it easier to sort of do, like what we've done is, put on our own exhibition rather than going in an exhibition, because then you can curate it a little bit more and feel a bit more like you're part of the process. Because you can spend a lot of money. Like I travelled to Sydney, I got into an exhibition and, and it cost me, probably $1,500 just to get the artwork and everything there, and then nothing came of it. But, the experience was good. It was important. And again, I learnt that I don't want to do that much more. But having said all that, I can hear us saying exhibitions are hard, but I really want to encourage, and I think we want to encourage people to have a go at doing it, because you've got to get your work out there. It's a way to do it. It's really, really important. And I wouldn't go back and change anything necessarily, just doing those in terms of exhibiting work, because it just helps you learn and helps you get braver, and you also get feedback. You can listen to people and what they think about your work and what works and what doesn't, and you can work out more prices and all that sort of thing. So I really encourage you, if you have only done a couple of pieces, work towards 8 pieces if you're a painter, and work towards doing an exhibition. It'd be really exciting. We'd love to hear about, what you've come up with too. It'd be really good. Yeah.
And one of the loveliest things was, so many people said to me afterwards or on Insta or just comments, how beautifully the pieces went together.
Yeah.
And how they really complemented each other.
Yeah.
And they really did. And I think that really comes across.
It does,
the harmony part of the
title. Because our exhibition was called Meticulous Harmony.
Yeah, so many people said that.
Yes, they did. And you've had a lot of comments on your Instagram about, you put something up and people are like, it's amazing, thank you, it looks really good, and I've been out there. And so we've had a lot of people be out there. If any of you have seen the exhibition, comment below. We'd love to hear what you thought about the exhibition. And it is on, some of you will be watching this later on, years down the track, and this exhibition will be well and truly gone and we're on to something else. But if you're watching this now, it's in 2025. It'll be on until February the 2nd at Yering Station in Yarra Valley.
Yep.
So anything else we want to say about exhibitions or where we're at now?
Hang in there.
Hang in there. Yeah, you can see we loved working together.
Yeah.
We learned a
really
lot.
did.
And I think, I don't know about you, I mean, you've been sick, and but you've just been sick. So it's the start of a new year when we're recording this, and most people are like, it's a new year, and Kristin's like, it's a new year, I'm sick. So
it's like good stuff.
Yeah, but it feels like both of us have, correct me if I'm wrong, a new focus for the year because of that exhibition, because of what happened last year. We've got a really lovely, like a clear vision, is what I'm saying now. So it helps a little. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Well, for me, it was, I really love doing all the experimentation, but it's not commercially viable.
Yes.
I just can't keep going this way, and so it's made me sort of really realise that that's not how I can move forward. Yeah. So, and I really needed that. To go through that with the exhibition and to have all those battles with the fishing line. Yeah. Cannot explain how horrendous that got.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, like tearing my hair out situation.
Yeah.
Of just like, what am I doing? And I wouldn't have got to this point if I hadn't have gone through that.
Yeah.
But that said, I don't want to sound all negative about it.
No, I don't think
it was an amazing experience, and it was great working with Heather, and seeing it all come together was beautiful. But I did learn a lot about limitations with it, and just that, just can't keep doing that. If I'm working towards something now, I need to know, like with Heather, she knows how long it's going to take to do something, and I need to be able to really have that structure in order to make what I'm doing.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Yeah.
Good.
So,
Yay. Fantastic. Well, everyone, just go for it. Have some fun, experiment, and it'll bring clarity to you too, I'm sure, if you move forward in that. So, thanks.
And I'm sorry.
No, go.
And don't be shy if there's someone whose work you really admire, or you know, a friend, or even better, both in the same package. Ask them.
Yeah.
So if they would like to do something, they might also have been thinking of asking you.
Yeah, that's true.
So, and you can, plan that, and it is really, really fun.
It was really rewarding and invigorating and exciting, to do, wasn't it? Yeah, it really was. So, thank you.
Thank
it's good
you.
fun. You got anything left? No, I still haven't drunk anything. Yeah, I mean, all of it.
Cheers.
Cheers, everyone. See you next time.